Hello guys, LukeJ speaking. Welcome to Book Reviews, episode number 41. Today we review chapter 3 of Jim Henson's biography. So let's read out the show and see what we got for us. Okay. Before we get chapter 3, Sam and Friends, 1955 to 1957, I want to show you a picture of Jim Henson on the right side here. Kermit the Frog and his friends with an early image of Kermit the Frog was Sam and his friends. That's a picture of Jim Henson and with Kermit in the inside. Early famous look of Jim Henson seen here. Anyways, move on. On Monday, May 9th, 1955, 9 weeks to the day after the debut of the afternoon show, Jim and Jane's 5-minute WAP Sam and Friends premiere on WRC TV. There was actually a little fanfare. There's no brief mention of the TV highlights session. I'll be right back. But folks, sorry about that. I was gonna give myself more before we get started and finish up reading. I have ate like a snack before I began reading the book. Much better. Now let's read the book. So we left off. Anyway. Hold on. There was actually a little fanfare. There's no brief mention of the TV highlights section. Wow, okay. As her had Margaret Afternoon's first appearance. Okay? Only a single word inserted after the hyper-rated TV listings for WRC's 11 p.m.'s news broadcast with Eggerman, Richard Harkness, Weber Sports, and with Muppets. Wow, okay. Despite his intimate quiet appearance in the TV listings, there was nothing calm or suburban about Sam and Friends. Why not? Anyways, unstuck from Abner's variety show format, Jim and Jane were free to create. Next page. Anyways. They all were with the Muppets, okay? Giving them their own slightly stewed reality. For the Muppet cast, excuse me, I broke the air. Jim turned to the growing collection of Muppets that he had built, okay? Not many of which he had, excuse me, I broke the air. Already have using on afternoon. For this new show's point man, Jim, I've decided on Sam. Okay? A bald nose, human character with knobby ears that stuck to stray out from the head wide open. Eyes that give him a probability surprised look. I made him originally to use a Bill Harris records. Wow. Okay? Anyway. Jim said, but he proved the most popular Muppet of all. They gave us an idea for Sam and Friends. Well, okay. The Friends of Sam and Friends, however, was more abstract. Hazily defined and colorfully named Harry the Hipster. Wow, okay. Makes sense anyway. A snake-like beatnik, something like that, but that's the word, sorry, anyway, in sunglasses. Yorick, a pearl-colored, star-like, creature that was I couldn't have pronounced this word, sorry, the beat-nosed Hank and Frank. The squash look mushman, I pronounced this word, sorry, anyway. Cardiable, I pronounced his name, sorry, anyway. Well, have gone into both the cause of the show and design the Muppet cast. The battle was no more throwaway. Well, okay. And there was actual measure of the show's madness. As its core, Sam and Friends is all about the quiet. After Sam made his way through life with the help of his friends. Abstract combinations. Well, okay. Who led them on? Moving forward and encourage him to prove their own loony behavior. Wow, okay. Even though it was bad behavior, it was still nothing more than lip syncing to records. Okay? The friends, while real to Sam and his peers, explained Jane, are actually whipping him. Whipping Sam, something like that. A rather highbrow country the show that got the biggest laugh from characters exploring, something like that. Okay? Makes sense anyway. But it's type of Jim, even a 5-minute comedy group, something like that. No wonder how it starts like that. How do you mean something like that? There's another extra Muppets and Sam cast who, while still only recognized to mostly small parts, okay? And then usually get this beer at the end. Already been so special place in Jim's heart. It was a puppet Jim had built with the passing of several long, sad days, tending to his grandfather Pop, okay? While slowly dying from this heart failure, a puppet that, even early on, Jim would always call his favorite. And Milky would move a character named Kermit. Okay? Murray Brown always been frail. Stars remember him being quiet in his house to ease his nerves, and in 1955, a doctor has injured he and Deer moved to his 2-story house to Marvin Street to a smaller single-story apartment. Okay? The move has depressed Pop. Felt worried for him. Anyway, I know I'm not alive back then at the time, but you do get the idea. Anyway, he intended to die in their house on Marvin Street, as he said, and his health was decreasing rapidly. As Pop grew eventually senile, even as his heart failed, Jim was shaking and impending death of his grandfather. He had, after all, is partly named for him. But Jim would do as he always did in the face of grief, which is upsetting, I know. He would build and create fragrant but suitable materials Jim had sold his mother. Old-fashioned fur coat. Something like that. And he would lean over this table in his Henson's living room. A suit and a several puppet bodies, like that. Anyways, the slightly pointed face with the faded turquoise made material, something like that. I mean, that's it anyway. But eyes, he simply glued 2 halves, the paintball balls, with slash circles carefully, ink and black in each, something like that. On the top of the head, that was it. The simplest materials, and perhaps appropriately from a demonstration to bring a bit of order from darkness. Kermit was born. That makes more sense. Those who knew Jim as a boy would often wonder if he had named his most famous creation after his childhood friend Kermit Scott. we'll see what happens. Anyway, the answer according to both Jim and Kermit Scott was no. I agree. Which is that I have no idea what to say there. Name Kermit was quirky, but by no means a common in 1955. President Theodore Roosevelt has named his second son Kermit in 1889. Wow. Okay? Which made the name somewhat fast in the first half of the 20th century. That was exciting, okay? The Jim involved, it was a Greco or Muppet. It's a Muppet to me, sorry. Anyway, it was all about the sound and what words, my dad. And it's like Brian Henson said in the documentary, of course, it's called People's Profile, saying that he created the Muppets because he loved the word. That's what he said. And that's what Will Bay said in the documentary as a narrator. That's what she said, you know. But anyway, moving on, but this is a hard K, press M, and it's not T, okay? The name Kermit was memorable and very funny, and I agree with that. Big time, because Muppets are cool enough. There's very no frail puppets, my dad. Kermit's a special of elegant. I can't pronounce this word, so it starts with an S, sorry. Sparingly, some of that, which made him that much more fun for Jim to play with, some of that. Kermit's started out with the way of building, putting a mouth and covering over my hand. Wow. Okay? Jim later explained there was nothing in Kermit outside the play piece of cardboard. It was rigid cardboard, and the cloth shaped like that was a head. A head is my next one. It's one of the simplest kinds of puppets you can make. It was very flexible because of that, which gave us a range of experience. Especially for that. A lot of people build very stiff puppets. You can barely move the face. You can get very little expression of how of the character. They can barely move. Your hand has a lot of flexibility to it, and you can want to do is to build a puppet that you can reflect on the flexibility. Okay, makes sense anyway. It covers one of those most special of Muppets. One thing next page. Anyway, one thing he was not, at least not yet, was a frog. Exactly. He was not a frog yet, according to documentaries and other things like that said in the historians. My brain's smart enough about that. Anyways, which is nearly, while it's nearly possible for viewers today to watch Kermit and Sam and Friends. By the way, I have the book, Sam and Friends book. I'll talk about that in book reviews another time. Anyway, and to think of him as anything but a frog, viewers in 1955 saw him as simply another as a silly and boring cat. Olive colored, milky turquoise. Exactly. Jim called him, was found over fleet. Jim was still at the very large being as a funny mushmelon. Okay? The wide mouth, molly hay. I didn't call him a frog, Jim said. All the colors in those days were abstract, because that was part of the principle that I was working under. That he wanted to abstract things. Exactly. Anyways, for Jim, the abstraction was also in some ways, in an exciting way, of challenging his audience. One of mistake of making them an absolute part of the performance, okay? Those abstract characters I feel like are certainly more pure, okay? Jim explained. If you take a character and you call him a frog, you immediately can't give an audience a handle, okay? You're assisting the audience to understand. You're giving them a bridge or so, some of that assets, something like that. Anyway. I had to breathe while reading. Anyway. If you don't give them that, you keep it more abstract. You know, it's more purr. Something like that. Anyway. School of Fame. It's the difference of sort of warmth and cool. Exactly. Anyway. It wasn't only that abstract quality that made Jim's Muppets. Something like that. Hold on. Did my volume turn up suddenly? Let me see. Okay. Makes more sense. Anyway. Good enough. Anyway. It wasn't only that abstract quality that makes Jim's Muppets. Sam and Friends are like anything on television. So Jim and the Muppets puppetry on television has initially looked at like film puppet shows on Cool Fred Ollie. Okay? For instance, Bird Charleston performed his puppets while standing behind the puppet stage, poking his characters out underneath a gauzy curtain as he stood concealed behind the proscenium and that. Anyway, Jim and sometimes perform in the similar manner on the afternoon. Okay, squatting down behind low walls are maneuvering puppets up through the opening in sets when the show requires the Muppets like that anyway, to interact with the human cast members, but that was really still the puppet show, just a puppet show on television, but not the puppets television show. Exactly. Like Ollie Corbett before him, who understood that the martial tilt of the television camera, something like that, and the set could playfully just pronounce it anyway. Magic politics, something like that, and audience presentation. Okay, next book anyway. Jim as well. When Victoria history aware that he could use the eye of the camera and the four sides of the home viewer's television screen to create its own reality. Not that now that there was need to his Muppets to coexist on that together. With live actors, Jim saw that no puppet fear was needed at all. That in fact the space between the four sides of the television screen was its puppet fear. Exactly. Anyway, Jim had learned Colbert's lesson well. Namely, the television audience like that can only see what you chose for it to see, something like that. Anyway, no walls were needed to conceal the puppeteer when he was or she could kneel down just at the side of the camera, something like that. Anyway, given the Muppets the entire viewing area in which they had to perform and exist. Exactly. But Jim understood that it went even deeper than that. But Jim knew that for all this technical process like that. Anyway, the television camera is, in its sense, blind. Wow. Okay. You have no financial vision, and it doesn't get distracted by what is taking place just behind the range of flats. Something like that. Anyway. All it sees is what's taking place beyond this. Oh no, wait. All it sees is what is visible through the eyepiece. I misspoke. Anyway. no more or less, and Jim instructively appreciated that the eye of the camera defies your performance. Wow, okay. Makes sense anyway. Then you better make certain you know exactly what the camera sees. The only way to do this then was to watch the performance on the television monitor, okay? At first, it was mainly a matter of spot checking their performance, making sure heads what on the side the Muppet was centered on the screen, similar to the habit Bert Toadstorm had developed on Cuckoo Friendly Dolly. When Toadstorm was often kept the television placed off of the one side and kept an eye on how his puppeteer looked on camera. Okay? So Jim and Jane has monitors placed in opposite corners on the studio. But no matter which way the performer was facing, monitor was visible. Eventually, Jim had one small monitor placed on the floor, directly in front of the performers, where he and Jane could closely scrutinize some of that performance from where needs. Wow, okay. Anyway, the Jim approach to the use of the monitor differed from the Toadstorm's in the side of ways. Toadstorm, the monitor was passive, probably related to performance, which remained confined by the public fear, something like that. But for Jim, the monitor was a public fear. As such, it defied the performance. Wow, okay. Moreover, that using the monitor to watch themselves perform on screen made the show that much better. Unlike other television actors like that, who can't see their own performance and it happens, you can't actually see what you're doing to it, Jim explained. You have the opportunity to modify your performance to better efforts, something like that. Wow, okay. Something like that. It also allowed the puppeteer to share the viewing experience with the audience at home. Dynamite Jane found properly brilliant. You can perform, but you also be the audience, said Jane. I think, next page. Anyway, that's a big difference. Because the people at home watching are seeing it very intimate, something like that. Anyway. An initial thing that's happening with that performer. Okay? While the use of the monitor was a brilliant in relations like that. Anyway. Is required one real bits like that of the mental gymnastics, since the performer is facing the camera, while he sees on the monitor in front of him is initially his own image in reverse. So while the performer might be moving a Muppet to his or her on left, like that. Anyway, on the television monitor, it moves to the right. It's a bit of reverse. Okay, try to drink. Sorry about that, but anyway. I kept over myself, but anyway. Move on. A bit of a reverse orientation that takes some getting used to, something like that. But for Jim, the effort was worth to get the performance exactly right, okay? After you go through working with the monitor for the professional period of time, said Jim, then it totally automatic and you never even think about it. Exactly. Now that Jim had removed the need of the puppet fear and through the use of the monitor, giving the performer the ability to watch and modify his performance. Excuse me, anyway. The Muppets themselves suddenly, almost magically, had a life of their own. In the eyes of the camera, it was as if they were simply actors being filmed. What Jim came to love right away was how convincing the reality of the television screen, James said. It's not that going to the puppet stage at all. The reality was extraordinary, so long that Jim and Jane were careful to remain out of shot. The Muppets could move freely anywhere in the viewing area, even approaching the camera and the audience like that. Anyway, for the imminent close-up, something that could not happen with traditional puppet fear. There's something brand new if the puppetry was made expressly for the medium of television, making television strength and weaknesses for work with the puppet performers like that. Anyway. Oh man, my mouse is not moving. Anyway. For Jim, it's all been a matter of problem solving, and his related experience with both puppetry and television allowed him to look at solutions might have not been have occurred like that. To move seasoned performers, even when it's a case of the television monitor, that solution that was lying or playing side. Many of the things I've done in my life has basically been subtight, Jim explained later. I've never worked with puppets, and even when I began on television, I really didn't know what I was doing, something like that. Anyway, I'm sure that was a good thing, because I learned how I tackled each problem, something like that. Anyway, I figure you study. If you learn too much of what is others have done, you might tend to think taking some the same direction as anybody else. Wow, okay. There's a little danger of Jim with doing that. He was already too far ahead of anybody else. Well, okay. Still, for all of his success and validation, Jim was always respectful of all the work in the professionals in television. The difference in the approaches, both the puppetry and the television media, where he fought simply generously. Well, okay. A matter who, when you learn the craft and what media when available when you began performing, Bird Torments like that. Storms, anyway, Bird Storm, anyway. And the Bards had more to do with the beginning of puppetry and television than we did. Jim explained that, but they were developed the art and style of the concern instant before hitting television. Well, okay. Jim's puppets, however, were born made for the television generation. Well, okay. And as such, they happen to look at good television. Exactly. We play much at the form and shape for the time and style. Wow. Jim said this early days of television. Okay? And I think one of the average of not having any relationship to any other puppeteer was that it gave me a reason to put the form of the shape of the Muppets together myself for need of television. Jim would always have no marionette strings in the shop or painted wood heads frozen in Persian grid. Breaking illustrations like that. Solutions like that. Anyway. With the TV cameras allowing for close-ups, Jim wanted his puppets to breathe with a life of their own. Something like that. Anyway. More. With working mouths and hands. Cultivate the expression of personality. there are the what we discovered what you could do with the flexibility of the faces. Jim said. Mine, on the other hand, in the early days of my life, with the technician, LGBM/qual, we don't need faces. So that's just me. Anyway. Except for the hand mouse, sadly. But anyway. But that's my advice. Move on. Next. It's just zombies. Basically, the Muppets. Move on. Okay. Where is I? Okay. Jim said it was a question of combining what you try to do, the hand or to get the expression to do what most puppeteers at the time still work with the experience with your faces. And generally no expression at all. Because before television, puppets were generally meant to be seen in the distance of 15 to 20 feet. And I agree with that. I'm not that type of guy who does a 15 to 20 feet anymore. I'm more of the type of guy who, at the time, who generally would go across 15 to, I don't know what's the word, sorry. I may have to be like somebody go exploding at the time, puppet, so that's just my case. Calling as a kiss, I was cool for AC/DC, that is my type, sorry. Anyways, he explained, I think we are among the first to design puppets, especially for television, something like that. We were ready to the camera and working with what you can do. The face seen from the very close, something like that. There are puppets that didn't look like puppets. Never looked, something like that. We called Muppet Bear and Jerry Joel. Wow, okay. It was the moderated faces. It was a total abstraction of them. They were just mind-blowing surgery to puppeteers. Wow, okay. No, I wasn't talking about Muppets, my own type of Muppets. I'm talking about Zuppets that I created in 2003 for the fall. But anyway, move on. While set was made with plastic wood, it was Jim Hands was remarkably inspired as so much so. In fact, that only 3 hit months after making his debut, someone named the most brilliant newcomer in the Washington scene. But the TV critic at the Sunday next page. Anyway. And we're almost done this chapter, by the way. Let's see, we're almost done. Let's see. No, we're not done yet. Okay. We're just about... We're about... No, we're just halfway through the pages left. Anyway, more. The Sunday Star. Anyway, puppets made a non-particle material would quickly become the expression. Instead, Jim discovered that foam rubber was the ideal material with sloping puppet hands, like that. Anyway, which he could then cover with fabric, fleece, and or whatever else that might have be on hand. Okay, makes sense anyway. Where it was pieces of carpet, yard, wine, and his mother's coat. Okay? This allowed for less clunky, more expressive puppets, giving the puppeteer the ability to turn the performance. It was the tilt of the puppet's head, something like that, something like that. Slight inclining the face or the strong cheese of the mouth. That makes the character that much more alive. Okay? Jim has support for this lifelong love of drawing and cartooning, something like that. And perhaps with the lesson of this poster for the 9 girls in mind, Jim eventually understood that critical importance of the placement of the character's eyes. Well, okay. As well as the location to be plurals in these eyes, my dad. Those eyes, my dad. Early on, Jim discovered that the almost a brush with a crossing the eyes. He exactly gave the eyes focus, giving this Muppets a look keen expressions rather than a bashful states, my dad. As the operation the Muppets had in the early years, my dad, Jim multiplied these characters. Arms with the long rods, trying to those close to the. Sorry about that. Anyway, the Muppets rest, my dad. And the bodies that own more than the old style rods, my dad. Puppets that than the maniacs, like that. Anyway. Okay, anyway. It was simple that but it finished like that. And it's would be the template, the basic Muppet sculptures like that. Anyway. Jim will not yet build the live hand puppets. Which he could move the mouth, which was the right hand, and use his own left hand and up inside the Muppet's left hand. He will use the Muppets like Ralph the dog or Uri on Sesame Street, okay? Likely because with the only him or Jay and Jane performing, they often needed to work with the Muppet on each arm, okay? What works is with was like on their own now, something like that. Anyway, Jim and Jane put together a Madcap 4-minute show. The last minute was left to sponsors like SK Meats. Okay, that was over the much security for DC audiences. Yeah, even though I watched some of them watching DC stuff in 2013 because I was not a DC audience. I was a Georgia audience at the time. That's just me, anyway. It was too short that it was over as soon as they began. With a topical lab something like that. According to Jim, the name of the game on Early Cinnamon Friends was still primarily lip syncing to comedy records and not really songs, okay? Which Jim rated them for the WRC TV music library, okay? Problem with his old expensive collection. By his own counts, like that, he had over 500 records, like that. The lip syncing approach meant the Jim did not have to provide voices or any of his Muppets, like that. Something he was still nervous about doing, and was, but also as Jim said, a way to could be slow to entertain pieces rather than safely and easily, something like that. Pronounce it. But wow, okay. Anyway, actually, it wasn't always easy. Jim worked hard to perfect has lip syncing, something like that technique. Anyway, figuring out quickly that there was more to lip syncing, that more timing, something like that. Jim compared to pushing the words out of the puppet's mouth. That makes more sense anyway. Rather than snapping the mouth open and close. That makes more sense. Anyway, like catching flies. Like that. Anyway. A habit that often plods even an experienced performers like Bird Turtlestorm. That makes more sense. Anyway, who often open and close always mouth with an audible clack. Okay? Jim would practice in front of the mirror. Sometimes for hours. Working the master little nonsense like that. Like moving the puppet slightly forward and not down as it spoke, like that. And opening his mouth by moving the thumb rather than his fingers. Why the fingers? Like, that makes more sense. Anyway, was looking more natural than less than like a Muppet's head, was climbing on hands and flopping it open backward. Huh? Okay. Anyway, Jim also thrilled on cooperation, and so did Jane. And if Jim was the energy and brilliance on the app, then Jane was the ideal performing partner, something like that. Responding to and interacting with Jim's characters like that, so anyway. Naturally and dodgery, like that. She also had a masterful sense of comic timing, and Jim continuously encouraged her performance like that, with his own sense of fun and coordination like that, and laterally combination that would similarly inspire other colleagues and collaborators in the years to come. Exactly. Two of them worked so well together. In fact, that he was dedicated to keep their professional partnership going on even after her Sorry about that, everyone. Her graduation from the University of Maryland in 1955. Wow. Jane enrolled in a master's program in art at Columbia University, Washington, D.C. that fall. Wow. Promised Jim she would continue their work together, tweaking her own course load to someone else. We're gonna accommodate their filming their afternoon each day. Similar friends each night, no small car fare, something like that. Anyway. Besides Jane, another graduate from the University of Maryland that year was Jim's brother Paul, instead of taking Paul the initial year to complete their studies. Due to a brief 2 semesters in like that, the School of Christian Science at Illinois, but in June 1955, I was only 4 years until I was born. That was 4 years prior, that time. Anyway, Paul received his bachelor's degree in mathematics. Now engaged and be married, Paul decided he wanted a career as a Navy pilot. Wow. Okay. And would be committed October 1955. But there he was, next page. Anyway, be stationed in Florida. If you watch Billy, this for you. Florida for you. Anyway. To undergo trade on his way to his lifelong dream to become a pilot. Pretend I was a pilot if I want to fly. I think I go on and really want to be one. Yeah, it's like a Barney song, but yeah, I'm in the wrong tune. But anyway, more on next. As Muppets grew in popularity, Jim was being asked to make appearances in make more and more local shows. Okay? And to begin his sophomore year of 1955, something like that. Jim was offered as a money he was being paid. When I first started working, it was $5 a show. Wow, okay. Jim later said it was probably a little higher by the time I get to my own show, but I remember that put me under the contract of $100 a week. Wow, okay. Which is me a very short price. And it was indeed, at the time, most college students were making minimum wage, 75 cents an hour busing tables or public gas. 19-year-old Jim Henson was being paid roughly $5,200 a year. Wow. And to perform on television. Wow. They're looking at about $40,000 today. I don't know when exactly in the 2024 zone was attaining this film, but wow, okay. Jim was expected, however, to use more money to design, build, and paint all his Muppets and the sets for Jim, Sam and Friends, and eventually that never bothered him one bit. I was a kid and it was fun. It was fun. Jim said it was with a shrug. And it was also there wasn't much money in television in those days. Anyhow. Okay. Anyway, when he was finished with the sets, Jim was happy to spend what money was left over on friends and family, purchasing a color television and a brand new electric organ with his mother. There was something no more important thing at the pump organ for Betty Henson. Exactly. Big time. While the Muppets were gaining the following in their career was earning a considerable amount of money, Jim remained unfazed in the attention and income. There was new Jim only through his work on Sam and Friends was often surprised to learn. On meeting him in person, that the career of many Muppets was exactly a spoken like that German young man who was still called Jimmy by friends and family, but looking closer, it was also easy to see the twinkle in his eye and a slight grin that gave away with a madcap sense of humor. He had a warm glow. Remember, who he probably my dad, who taught drama in the University of Maryland. He's just looking and everyone to see what kind of humor he could find in him. His wit was very poignant, something like that. Very sharp and very clever. And it appeared more clever because of his shyness. He has a charisma, a warmth that made you comfortable, something like that. When talking to him. Okay? Makes sense anyway? Oh man, anyway. It was during one of the regular talks, a minute later, that he asked Jim, why you were wasting your time with those puppets? While Jim never considered his work a waste, it was nevertheless a question that he had often himself. All the time I was in school, I didn't take puppetry seriously, Jim said. I mean, it didn't seem that it was a sort of thing that a grown man works with for a living. Exactly. Rather than a placeholder until a better opportunity to came along, just a freshman college journalist, which is Robin and Jim, by the way, which got me inspired to make film and TV shows. Anyway, move on. Next. Robin McNeil and Jim Laird, if you're wondering. But anyway. No, that was a wrong Jim. But that's just me. Anyway. My daily summer job, writing opportunities, authorities, something like that. Hoping that experience and connections were led to a permanent public press job. So as well, did Jim continue to view the Muppets as a preface to what he considered what the real job of television, whether it's art and stage design, direction, and production. I was sure that it was a point that would probably end up in site design and Irish art, he said. Sam and Friends continued to gain a following, but as the summer of 1955's WRC TV never wanted to be contented with a good fame, began to fidget with a Saturday evening lineup. Good news and everything. Anyway, announced that it was canceling Sam and Friends. Sadly enough. To Jim's surprise and delight, angry phone calls, letters poured into WRC studios. WRC executives immediately backstraightened, putting Sam back on the air. And after missing only one night, still the evening star was quick at the point out that it was only a partial victory. since Sam will now air only 3 nights a week instead of 5. Exactly. Don't be too great with the WRC, sniffed the star. Just nod politely. Even the 3 nights won't last long. The 23 WRC battles in the newscast from 11 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's back again, so we get Jim moved with that first performing each evening at 10:25 p.m. until mid-October. The WRC expectedly handed Sam and Friends' evening time slot over to guitar virtual Les Paul and his wife Mary Ford. Just in the next 7 months or so, then Jim will devote his time mostly in the afternoon. When he proving his ability to draw viewers wisely, Sam would do feature promoting WRC's newspaper ads like that, committed from the pages of Washington Post to promote the station afternoon lineup. Even though Sam's stifling schedule, Jim was delighted with all he had accomplished. Then in the spring of 1986, tragedy struck. Saddens me, I know. Next page. Anyway, on Sunday, April 15th, 1956, Jim's brother Paul now serving as an ensign in the U.S. Navy, which, by the way, is a great idea to have a U.S. Navy go, we want you. Cause, no, it's not that. We're going to end the later chapters to come. But yeah, Navy as in, if you look back in my racist jokes episode on the Army Navy game, that's what I'm talking about. And undergo his pilot train in Philadelphia, Florida, and was riding the car with 2 other young men when the driver suddenly had lost control. Wow. I saw this during Will Bay's narration say, by the time of the Muppets' success, he also suffered a tragic loss. His brother Paul was killed in a car accident. And I was like, I never seen that in one of my books, Jim Henson books before. I was in high school, never heard about this yet, but wow. Makes sense. Anyway, it was sad to me, I know. Move on. The car veered off the road and rolled 4 times. Mystery. Oh, man. Sorry about that. Anyway, eventually killing the driver and Jersey Paul Henson. Saddens me, I know. Anyway, after receiving the phone call and version them on the accident, Betty and Paul Henson Sr. sped for Florida, but too late. 23-year-old Paul Henson Jr. passed away later that afternoon. Paul Henson Jr. was 23 years old. Shocked me, I know, because I was just reading that. I saw it on Idea Man, the new Disney Plus documentary, and I'm like, this is shocking, I know. It was 1942 until 1956. Wow. I thought he was 24, but no, it was 23. In the book, but not anything like that, but it was shocking, I know. But anyway, move on. Next. For the Henson family, it was a devastating loss. Exactly. While there was some songs to be found through Christian Science, it was believed that special development activity continues even after death. And that death is simply another state in which a person may attain the love of God. Exactly. Anyway, Betty Henson never got over Paul's death. The silly, jokingly Betty Henson wants to be who would pour milk into overflowing. Was still pleasant and loving, but her family, including Jim, has always by the part of her died along with Paul. With Paul, exactly. As much as he might try, Jim would never really got over Paul's death. either. As for the rest of his life, during quiet moments like this, Jim would often remark that he still missed Paul terribly. Unlike Betty, however, Jim would channel his soul into silliness, his identity into art. Exactly. Paul was probably Henson way of Chuck comedy. It's just as Dear had very loud discussion of a suicide of her father, Oscar. Man, this is shocking. For many family members are shocked at deaths are shocking. I was not going to say this that much about what's going on. But anyway, move on. Next, the Henson simply showed on depression and suicide, scary stuff like that. And rarely speaking of Paul's death was outsiders. Wow. Okay. The way of carrying him on would be keep a smile on your face. Exactly. Okay. Said one Henson family member. The idea of being suicidalized and commercial something like that. And fun is combination is very high spot. In fact, one of the highest combinants is a Henson could buy masturbation, something like that. We declare that someone was good comedy for Jim, then an art was part of his way of carry on. A be called good comedy. Exactly. But Paul's death was to Jim more than just a sense of loss. Suddenly, the 19-year-old was already seemed to work harder than everyone else was aware that the clock was ticking. Years later, Jim's oldest daughter, Lisa, would speak about Jim's sorrow and almost reverse sadness that moderated Jim's work. He shared so much that his brother, as a young kid, and then to have a survivor crisis, thinking now to be with him and me. He had a rocket, fun of him, career that he did on, said Jim's friend, longtime collaborator Frank Oz. When his brother died, he felt like he was maybe didn't have much enough time. Like not like he was feeling like his mortality or premonition of they would die young or anything like that, something like that. But he realized that he would didn't have a inflatable amount of time to do all the things he would do at all. Exactly, Frank. As he did during the times of Pop's death and a year earlier, Jim turned to work to the least, something like that. Applying himself that it was possible even harder. In addition to working, was probably increased by Paul's death, something like that. Jane Henson was that, something like that, something like that. And I think we have a very aware of that. Yeah. He then became the only child who was responsible not only what he was going to be, but was with Paul would happen as well. It was heavy on him. There would always be, said Jane, a touch of someone sweet management like that in Jim's work. Exactly. Honestly, wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but Jim, whose Christian Science faith has been tended and called by his own creations, okay. Okay, move on. Installation was installation from that. I mean, that's the sport. So anyway, and similar sense of humor. There's a ripeness in the ups and downs in life, a comfort in the chemistry of its joys and sorrows. While Paul's death may have driven Jim to work hard, something like that, to never and make it the most of his own life, something like that. It may also have helped Jim to more fully, charitably and impressive. Appreciate his own unique outlook and on our existence like that. I believe that if we form our own lives, that we could create our own reality. That everything works for our best like that. Jim said later, I know I drive some people crazy. The way we seem to be ridiculous observation. But it's always worked up to me, Jim, observations and installations of that for life. Even in space of hardship or sadness, will remain one of the most enduring and inspiring qualities. Working out under the shadows of Paul's death that summer, Jim's ridiculous observation will be justified professionally. Things were slowly working out for the best. WRC was continuing the scheduling. This time filling this afternoon lineup, and had decided to cancel afternoon. Wow. However, like the previous winter, when Jim had forbid the time slot to another, the producers have worked overtime to find a way to spotlight Jim's talent. In May 1956, the Muppets were made a regular part of the newcomers next page. Anyway, newest. Okay, I thought it was newcomers. Anyway, next page. Newest iterations of the new WRC stable Fluorite Fear. Source supporting players and guitarist drummer Paul Arnold. Wow, okay. Who expected to keep things moving between installments of bell-stinging cowboy films like Rainbow of the Rockies. That was what Fluorite Fear was so concerned as Jane Groudon. Wow. So, anyway. Now, usually involved battling with Sam and the Muppets, who, truth be told, will probably attract more viewers than Arnold. But Jim collaborated with the Variable Arnold with Tybo Gusto, something like that. Even adding a new member to the Muppet cast. Valerie Campbell-White pirate named Amar. Well, okay. Who Arnold voiced, Jim worked hard then spring, something like that. That spring, something like that. Rehearsing and performing for Fluorite Fear, making public appearance for that Muppet. And continuing to run his Silkstream poster business out the student union building the University of Maryland, something like that. The work continued to play the events, something like that. In 1956, the cat lover probably purchased a gorgeous, gleaming sports car of his own very own, something like that. First admit the steak line cars Jim would own in his lifetime. Wow, okay. When it comes to cars, Jim loved the privately Jim's great uncle Fred. Wow. Okay. One of Deer's fun-loving younger brothers was able to fund car fanatics like that, and was purchased a car in the early 1920s without even knowing how to drive. It was drove it home. That Bay Henson, who had tag along, it was a wild dude. Right, like that. Anyway. Even Bay had the car bug. As she has been the first of the browse to purchase a car. Buying a little gray box. Well, okay. The year before she married Paul Henson. But Jim's parties were fairly going all the way back in his tinkering days. In Leland. It was a sport cars like that. The more exposure the better. In 1956, Jim snagged a gleaming white 1956 convertible Thunderbird. That makes more sense. Anyway, Thunderbird that Rex Brown owned. And I'll talk about that in book reviews sometime soon. But anyway, as a bass player. But anyway, it wasn't his first car at all. Sad to say. But anyway, he had previously owned a Ford. Wow. I was a Solis Morris worker for nearly 5 years, and that is shocking. Anyway, But that car made me barely functional. But there was a thing of beauty, low thing with wide walls, tires, and favorable vents. Jim adored it. Wow. Photo from the time shows Jim parking his driveway in Hydesville, sitting in the car with Sam. Wow, okay. Now, I was an accurate type of person, and while I was working there, I would be fat of a Nissan, but that's just me at the time when I worked at Aqua. But that was my case. But you're talking those cars, you're talking some other cars that work with Solar Motors. But anyway, move on. Next, inspiring with that. Jim said Jim's family will always one of the best audiences. Exactly. It's probably looking at Cheery. After all, she added, Sam has made it all possible. Almost immediately, Jim decided to take an extended road trip across the country, pedaling into the Thunderbird while with Joe Iron and a week's work of clean clothes for what turns out to be a 3-week trip. Jim loved driving. I don't, because I'm a driverless type of person. Sorry, Jim. But anyway. Especially love driving without any schedule or destination. Exactly. Anyway, which is not my thing. Sorry. During the day, he and Joe will split the time between the wheel. Spinning across the countryside with the top down under the sunburned noses peeled. All night, the mountains and Albuquerque, of Las Vegas, loom up the crowd against the stars. Jim took the Drake the light and stopping when anything caught his attention. When just likely to be oddly worded, sign it was an unusually guarded tree. He posed himself beside the side, set out later laughing during the stop near the Grand Canyon, something like that. Jim was himself programmed farther disregarding some of that Stein Reed stay on trail. While outside the Triangle X Ranch in Wyoming, Jim posed himself against a sign advertising the Do for Day Ranch. Standing with one red Canyon for some of that and one head crock on his hip, something like that. And looking despite his loafers and Corey's shirt. Wow, okay. Every inch of gunslinger, okay? Turning to Maryland later that summer, Jim was brought to hear the news that he hard work was getting most beyond the D.C. region. In New York, producers from Steve Allen Tonight Show, something like that, we're hearing more and more about their leading down in Washington, something like that. Producers got in touch with the Washington station and said, tell us about these puppets. We called James, something like that, something like that. And so in late August, she and Jim were climbing in Jim's Thunderbird on their way to New York City to audition for NBC at WRCA studios. Producers were impressed. Point was launched in the Washington Post, something like that. 2 months later, on October 11th, the Muppets would make their first appearance on The Tonight Show with Steve Allen. This will be the first big break, something like that. The big break, something like that, according to the Evening Star. Wow, okay. Till now, the Muppets have never been seen outside the Washington, D.C. market at all. Wow, okay. Tonight's show, with its national audience, would give Jim and Jane an enormous amount of exposure, and they were determined to give viewers good dose of Muppet madness. Jim decided to give a reality new but reliable sketch featuring Rosemary Clooney's narration of "I've grown a news more customer of your face." Anyway, this song cannot be now. Sorry. Anyway. For the recent Broadway hit, My Fair Lady. Following Steve Allen's initial introduction, Jim performed from Kermit. wearing a blonde wig. Lip syncing the song is the injury, sculpture of squarry figure, something like that. Anyway, with the space, grocery by a mask with a QC doe-eyed face. Next page, anyway. Draw on it, anyway. But as the song reaches the first musical interlude, like that, the mask was slowly developed behind, revealing the deadpan Yorick, like that. Beneath Norma's laughter came from the live studio audience. What was all this? Exactly. As the song continued, a strong Kermit tried to gamely to keep singing, even as York in a wonderfully creative performance like that by Jay, like that. Anyway, nervously made by his way by George Kermit, like that. Anyway, turning now to Dover Hill, Kermit was stroked away, slapped furiously. Wow, okay. At the Yorks, like that. The post score continued to nibble at Kermit's arms and legs before finally dragging him fairly coming on off stage. Wow, okay. The audience wanted its approval. Muppets was a hit. Despite growing success in the Muppets back in DC, and RCWRC was still suffering an album lineup. And after several weeks of presumably, Tim and friends were interested in the final 10 minutes of each evening's newscast. After nightly at 6:50 p.m. 6:50 something. Anyway, it was a prompt promotion of the front lineup. After giving Jim and Jane successful appearance with that Tonight Show, well deserved one before the end of 1956, they would make their several other national appearances, including a performance of a Biography show. It has been a good year. The things would go even better in 1957, something like that. Then beginning in 1957, Jim would have been given his old 11:25 p.m. time slot and his late evening news before the Tonight Show, which was trying to find its way following the recent departure of host Steve Allen. Okay? Jim now had the 6:50 p.m. time slot, something like that, after the early news of, let's say, for example, the Huntley Bakery Report. At the 11:25 p.m. spot following the late news. Okay? Making him responsible for 10 shows a week. And that crazy number of guest spots and countless other variety shows and multiple public appearances. Jim's schedule quickly became quickly. There was times that I had 3 shows a day, Jim said later. So he kept me busy. Okay? So busy, in fact, that in February 1957, Jim decided to withdraw, at least briefly. From the University of Maryland, school against sub was really no problem for Jim. It's mostly A or B students, like that. He excelled courses in puppetry, design, stagecraft, art history, illustration, and even a year in WODC. His only low grades were in typewriting, which I may be interested in typewriting, by the way, as a kid, but not. I haven't done typewriting in years. But anyway, economics and PE, physical education. Wow, that was a relief. The decision to withdraw them was not to be mighty lightly. Well, but Jim was perhaps as astute enough to recognize that he had been given an enormous opportunity that he had not won. Let me turn it on real quick. Man, but the 2 daily shows he had almost complete creative control. But in strategy arts, it was a unique chance to learn by doing. Okay, And all things became equal. Jim had perhaps decided what best classroom, but was not up to the role at the university. But down the hill at WRC Studios, Jim already had a full-time job lined up at WRC, working in the studios, inspiring art department, designing and building sets. For this job, it's not only new work at Sam and Friends, my dad. Jim was determined to learn that it's not only work at Sam and Friends. I misspoke anyway. Jim was determined to learn this all he could, like that, about what it was both in front of and behind the camera, something like that. He was become a student on television. Okay, makes sense anyway. That didn't make the schedule less havoc, something like that. In many ways, it was even crazier, something like that. Anyway, that there was it was his full-time job in WRC's art department, but even in those days, he wasn't working. Jim was taking his Sam and Friends routines more seriously now. Spending the mornings shoring through and listening to records, hoping to spark an idea for a Muppet performance. It was always a suggestion, he said, not to repeat a song from his leaves 2 months. One inspired that he would write brief routines, sometimes scratching them out like cartoons on a yellow paid pad like that. Wow, okay. Well, Jim would often write on a piece of paper. Any piece of paper, something like that. Anyway. He could find. Meanwhile, Jane would rise early to attend morning classes at Catholic University. They make a 6-mile drive to Jim's family home at the University Park. On the late lunch, 2 of them would review Jim's routines, select the music, decide any sets that might need to build, and toss around other ideas. There was time to head to district to WRC Studios. To rehearse the Sam and Friends segment, the evening newscast that will be performed live at 6:50, something like that. Super good. After the early evening performance like that, Jane would return to her place in Northwest Washington to do homework, while Jim would back to the University Park to have dinner, build and paid sets like that, or touch up and repair a Muppets, showing them signs and weeds like that. Anyway, signs of where. I misspoke on words wrong. Anyway, at 10:40, he and Jane would meet back at WRC Studios for an hour, and rehearsal would go live at 11:25 with a 5-minute installment, something like that. Sam and Friends. Even after they finished filming for this evening, she would sometimes, next page anyway, stay for hours afterward, okay? Talking with cameraman and technicians, okay? In the spare time, he would be in control room trying to understand what was going on, Jane recalled someone anyway. And the technicians loved teaching him because he was really learning his lessons well. He couldn't wait to try out the things he was learning how on Sam and Friends, okay? Early on, Jim would learn simple camera tricks that could unique and enhance like that, anyway. Their performance. At that same time, all these television cameras were equipped with turrets like that, of lens like that. And we would ask their widest angle lens and experience like that with moving in and out the camera like that. Said Jim, you could do really interesting things in terms of depth like that. You discovered that, for instance, that by holding the carrots my dad back only a few feet away. Then moving forward a wide angle lens but make the Muppet appear to rush the camera, covering it a singularly huge distance in the flash. Anyway, it was established but Fed and Jim encouraged the forward crew to freely offer suggestions and the other technical tricks that might punch up the performance. That's just me. Anyway, hold on. Anyway, the atmosphere is in the studio that was very quick, relaxed. Okay. Because in the beginning we were lip syncing to records, said Jane. There was no live sound, so there was no need to be completely quiet. We would talk if we worked, and if something went especially well, the crew would applaud, and if something went wrong, we laugh anyway. Exactly. The majority of the performers would still involve lip syncing and performing, something like that. So we'll get away. Technology Records, which fortunately Sam Freeberg and others were continuing to produce regularly. We use a lot of records, said Jane remarks later. If we get it to go well, we wouldn't use it again. If it does go well, we save it and use it again. It is a free-for-all atmosphere of early television. There was never any thought given the clearing and records usage like that. Likely would have involved in paying royalties. I think we were working with something that was Senate President Jane often later, calling their use of records may have fallen under the same fair use rules about live volume. Anyway, the whole business was much more cottage industry. It wasn't the way of this now. In fact, remember Jane, some of the artists whose records have been used on Salmon Friends grumbled at first, knowing that the lack of royalties and the use of it as an otherwise serious performance with a laugh and punchline, okay? Makes sense anyway. Anyway, when any one of the artists brought the concern to Jim's attention, okay? However, it was always easier to ask for forgiveness than for permission, okay? It was crumbled in the face of Jim's calm. Anyway. Sam Freinberg, in fact, admitted that he had been trying that he learned his records were being used without permission, extradition, or compulsion, or something like that. And went storming down the WRC in April 1957. The issue of personal disease and disease. We have only once you have melody actually see Jim and Jane form. However, Freeberg melted. Wow. And shortly thereafter, sent to the employees with that telegram with his blessing. I take it all back. Discussion Freeberg. This is one of the greatest acts I've ever had been seen, and I have honored to let you use my records forever and longer. Jim re-enrolled in the University of Maryland in the fall of 1957, following his brief summer vacation in Mexico. Okay? The break, if you could call it that, have done him good. He introduced a new character, that cigar-shaped brush mustache professor math clips one that. Who have a knack, Jim explains my that, for not being able to repair things that he helped put out of order. He would also be the first Muppet Jim would perform his own voice. Something like that. Anyway, most interacting with Paul Arnold. He was introduced segments like that, instead of listening to records like that. Creatively, Jim's sketches with Sam and Friends were growing more and more outlandish with that. Gus dropping some of that bizarre behavior in which his Muppets usually promised like that blew up and or demolished each other, which urged established songs. Jim acknowledged every moment. In the early days of Muppets, we have two endings. Jim said, either one of them creature ate the other, or both of them blew up. Wow. Always been partial to the things eating other things. It was a sense of humor you either got or you didn't, okay? It was as simple as that. And Jim wasn't about to tone down this act. We tried to some really way out things, Jim said later. I remember one strange thing we had in our show, probably made from the skull of a squirrel. We used to take this slightly management from that thing and make it talk like this. We're gonna anyway. And also we used it to lip sync. It's a terrible song called There's a New Sound. Wow. It has only one chord, and it was only drive people crazy. I was glad there was no one else in the station ever watched the show because there was never a complaint or any attempt to censorship in any kind. Wow. Move on to the next page. We have 3 more pages left of the book and we'll be wrapping things up. Okay? Makes sense anyway. Anyway, still WRC couldn't seem to leave well enough alone. September 1957, the network scratched Sam and Friends with 6:50 p.m. spot and created the DVD programming in this network struggled lackluster ratings in Tonight Show. As they had in 1955, Sam and Friends responded angrily. Wow. We have so few local shows that it's worthwhile. When we do get something good, let's fight to keep it on and going strong. Exactly. Declared one layer as the star. Sam Bjork and Kermit are a lot more entertaining than Death Valley days. Allows the margins. Exactly. Big time. This one case where I was concerned that WRC regarding cancellation of the show. Agreed to Stars Edition editors with that. Responding to this uproar, Sam was quietly returned to the regular spots in the WRC lineup. Night Show as well will write itself shortly thereafter. Determined that at last that there were opportunities to be called to the Night Show and installed Jack Parr as host. Okay. And in fact, as a lead as a newie, to the newies like that, energized Night Show, Sam and Friends has become a local late night powerhouse. But it was a final bit of tinkering in the WRC schedule, this time courtesy of parent becoming NBC. Okay? That would give Jim not just one, but 2 of the most desirable time slots in television. Spit over the thing. Anyway. Essentially, WRC execs have likely hoped that Jim's W650 performance of Sam and Friends will learn its end and keep viewers tuned in to the NBC for the next hour, generally proposing them to sit through Superman or Nat King Cole. Wow, okay. To the 7:45 broadcast of a new 15-minute nightly news show NBC was working on hard to promote. Yeah, I was going to say, because I thought it was 1956 for some reason, but it's not. But okay. This is 1957 they're talking about. But okay, makes sense. The Hungry Ricky Report. The Hungry Ricky Report has been inserted to NBC lineup on October 29th, 1956 at the time. Anyway, that was called Camel back then. But okay, makes sense. Anyway. Had stuck slowly beneath CBS and the ratings, okay? For his new newscast like that, NBC has gathered a unique 2-man format with Chet Huntley broadcasting from New York City and David Brinkley from the WRC studios in Walmart Park, Washington. Now, I am a huge fan of Robert McNeil in New York and Jim Larry Washington. So they got me inspired to film and TV over the years. That's just me. Anyway. But the wager was probably slow to pay off. Well, okay. However, September 1957, as far as the strategy would eventually make Hungry Brinkley the nation's most respected and critically acclaimed news broadcast, NBC has decided to move Hungry Brinkley out of the late 7:45 p.m. slot and start the show an hour earlier, having it come right after the most local newscast. And so viewers will have to wait an hour behind local and national news, something like that. WRC initially shortened its own 6:30 newscast to 15 minutes and gave Jim and Sarah friends the final 5 minutes before WRC cut away to the national feed of Hungry Brinkley at 6:45. Wow. It was an unbelievable break. And nearly 50 minutes later, 50 years later, anyway, Jane was still shaking her head and eventually deadlocked. We gave the Hungry Brinkley audience and the Tonight Show audience. Jane laughed. And I mean, what could be better? You have national news, international news, weather and sports with Kermit. Wow. As David Brinkley began his broadcast each evening at 6:45 at Washington Park, something like that. Woman Park, something like that. Jim and Jane, with several doors down, packing up their Muppets and preparing to return to the studio at 5 hours in the 11:25 broadcast, something like that. Okay. WRC anchorman Bryson West, who had the opportunity to watch him and friends in the studios as he wrapped up the evening newscast. Okay. Never ceased and to be amazed by Jim's performances, something like that. Jim was a very shy, retired sort of person we called rash, was given verse at birth, something like that, and he had a giant great imagination, something like that. So we'll get back. More, but he did a wonderful show, even as the Muppets group and the popularity so as well did the performance like that. The Washington Post, for example, was happy to let its readers know that Jane designed most of his own clothes like that. Studied German's reunites a week with his adult education course like that. Because it's free, she explained, and lived with a total roommate in his apartment with no television. Jim impressioned such press. And CT tells Jane about the countless photographs that seemed to appear with the Muppets like that. Why are you having your picture taken with all my puppets? Jim would ask my mock annoyances. Wow, okay. Likely it was because Jane was more impressed with slavery with the two of them, with based on an interviewer. Jane was unusually slouch way down a chair on a chair. Well, okay. Okay, that makes more sense. Well, his arms folded, and long legs crossed in front of him. Contest to let Jane do the talking. Indeed, of the two of them, Jane did the more bohemian and worldly, the one who lived in the apartments like that, in the district, making pottery like that, content with artists and cooking for herself. Wow. Okay. Very much growing up in our home. Jim was meanwhile still living rent-free with her parents in her house in suburban Beechwood Road, still sleeping in the same bedroom and she had shared with Paul. Okay? Despite being obviously personal jealousy, Jim and James lives next week. Anyway, relationship, similar, remain collegial and social professionals like that. Anyway, likely to the confusion of friends who were wondering how the two people could work together. So initially the arms often tangled together overhead as they worked from the knees and yet remained married co-workers. In fact, both Jim and Jane were involved with other people. While Jane engaged with Bill Shermanson, pronounce his name, sorry, a student at American University, she had been dating since 1955, unfortunately, because it's not my thing. I'm never a huge fan of Bill. I have not seen Bill's work, sadly. Jim seen Anne Murray Hood, a registered teaching student, 3 years younger. Cheerleader type, said Jane Farley, but a nice girl, but whom he had been engaged to later that year. From the moment then, the only relationship Jim and Jane were first having was with each other. The principal, professional one, and they make it official in 1957, agreeing to become business partners and sealing their deal with a handshake. Almost immediately, the new partners would become a remarkable opportunities like that. That summer, the Bureau of State Anniversary Agency of Washington, D.C. have approached one of the clients, the John H. Wilkins Company, about producing a series of catchy 10-second spots of their coffee. The company wanted their something in of memorable and impossible, funny Helen Burr, standing and fan Simon Fred, and thought that she knew exactly whom to call. So that was chapter 3 of the book. And boy, that was very, very long. That told me, like, since, just like the first 2 chapters, I just want to get this book appraised, the first 3 chapters. I read it for an hour, 37 minutes, plus a come right back scene, and I have to take, and get some water at this point for, but that's my case. But that's just me. And that was episode 41 of Book Reviews. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned, there's going to be episode 42 of the book. Of Book Reviews. It's going to be about chapter 4 of the book. Jim Henson's Biography. Till next time, so join us, baby. You want Book Reviews, guys, for soon. Say out. See ya.